Now, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament is unhappy with the continuous running of unaccredited programs by almost all public universities. As of today, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has over 300 programs yet to be accredited. That's according to the Vice Chancellor, Professor Rita Akosua-Dixon, responding to audit findings before the Public Accounts Committee. Most of the programs are at various stages of accreditation, describing it as an unfair suggestion for such programs to be stopped.
Currently, we have more than 500 programs, and as we speak, we have about over 140 accredited, and some of them at various stages of accreditation. For example, I'm able to report, Honorable Chair, that we've been working very closely with GTEC to be able to ensure that these programs are accredited. Currently, as we speak, we have over 100 programs that we are expecting GTEC to mobilize and put together faculty to come and review on our campus. Thank you.
Madam, please, the auditors ask that you cease running programs that are not accredited. Have you stopped?
A number of them are re-accreditation programs. So you are running the program, the student gets to third or fourth year, then the accreditation period expires. You don't just, in the middle of it, cease running the program. Honorable Chair.
This is a very serious matter because Parliament was petitioned by some students just about a month ago regarding their eligibility to enter the Ghana School of Law because of matters like this. Accommodation is a problem on campus. And they are struggling to pay. And when they pay and the students are studying the program they are studying, auditors are saying that they are not accredited.
Chair, all the sentiments that have been expressed, we are together on this. A lot of efforts have gone into accreditation. Without regulation,
I think you are defending everything. As a committee, we are not happy.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm sorry that you are not happy, but my assurance as Vice Chancellor, we are doing everything we can.
Now, authorities of the University of Ghana say they have taken steps to ensure the accreditation of some of the school's programs listed as unaccredited in the 2021 Auditor General's report. Speaking at the Public Accounts Committee on Tuesday, Registrar Emilia Ejay Mensah said the university has made sure 60 out of 80 undergraduate programs are now accredited. Listen to the interaction between her and the Vice Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, Samuel Atamils.
After we had these audit responses, we've put in place a lot of measures. So, for instance, currently we have a total of 132 programs, or should I say we have a total of 220 programs in the whole university. We have put in place measures to ensure that all of these programs are properly accredited. Currently, we have 132 programs which are fully accredited, Madam, and this cuts across all levels.
Madam, I'm sorry that I may come across as being rude, but I'm asking a specific question. But you want to give me a PhD thesis out here. 2021, the auditors came in for the undergraduate programs. 80 of them were not accredited. I'm interested in that 80 that was not accredited. What have you done about it? The 80 that you were audited and they were not accredited.
Mr. Chairman, what we have done is put in place systems to ensure that all of these 80 programs are properly accredited.
How many of them have you gone to get the accreditation for, the 80?
Mr. Chairman, out of the 80, I would say that currently we have 60 of the undergraduate programs fully accredited, and the rest are in the process of being accredited.
Now let's go to the next one, postgraduate. You had 213 programs that were not accredited.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As part of the process, we have weeded out many programs that were no longer being offered at the University of Ghana. So as I said, we have a total of 220 programs in all. So this figure of 213 postgraduate programs, half of them probably have been taken out because they are no longer offered at the University of Ghana, and the remainder have gone through the accreditation processes or are in the process of going through reaccreditation.
Now let's go to the GTEC and speak to Mr. Jinapo, who is with the commission, and get Professor Jinapo. Professor Ahmed Jinapo is with the commission. Let's try and get some more details. Now, Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, there should be a resolution to bring confidence in the tertiary institution and the programs they run. Why are we still having issues with regards to programs being accredited?
Well, I think, first of all, the simple question, the simple response to your question is that the institutions are not adhering to what the law is. As you may recall, somewhere last year, we had this conversation surrounding non-accredited programs. We gave the universities the benefit of doubt because of where the commission was coming from relative to the accreditation environment. That being, as you are aware, we used to have what we call the National Accreditation Board, which was responsible for accrediting programs, and the National Council for Tertiary Education, which had oversight when it comes to policy formulation and policy directions relative to tertiary educational delivery. There were some problems, and government, in its wisdom, thought that it was necessary for them two institutions to be merged. So with that measure came into being GTEC. GTEC has been working with these institutions. And I must say, KUST has been extremely supportive and forthcoming when it comes to adherence to accreditation. I've been working with the Vice Chancellor for all these years, for all these months, to make sure that the backlog has been cleared. And to the best of my knowledge, we've done a lot of clearance when it comes to the backlog. Where we have the problem is that for some reason, institutions have this mentality that when you apply for accreditation, automatically you are going to be granted. So when you apply for accreditation, it doesn't mean that you are going to get accreditation. And the law is very clear. There's no middle ground. You are either accredited or you are not. It's just like a driver's license. You go for a driver's license, you are issued a driver's license for you to drive, or you don't drive. You cannot be excused on the premise that we've put in the application, the processes are ongoing. That is why we have all these accredited programs. I don't think it's pardonable. It's inexcusable. But this is what the Commission is doing moving forward. The Commission is working as hard as it can to make sure that all programs are accredited. Henceforth, we are going to be publishing in the newspapers, online, all programs and centers that are not accredited. So if, under normal circumstances, you go on our website, the publication of programs that are accredited invariably means that those that are not published are not accredited. But we are taking a step beyond that. All programs that are not accredited and are being run by institutions as evidence on their website, GTEC is going to publish them to conscientize the public to be wary of sourcing such programs. Because I think it's becoming too much for us to be going back and forth when it comes to this whole concept or issue of accreditation. Okay. Accreditation is a quality assurance exercise. And what is being done is a peer review exercise. So I do not see why individuals should rush to publish programs that have not been accredited on the assumption that they are going to be accredited. Now, let me give you a typical example. On this issue of existing programs that are going through the accreditation process, an accreditation letter being issued to an institution is very clear that you are supposed to start the process 1 year before expiration of that program. So I don't think it's excusable for us to say that within the program expires, so what are we going to do with the students? I don't think that's the way we need to go. You need to start ahead of time. And the lecture is very clear that you need to start 1 year ahead of the expiration of the program.
But Prof, on the reaccreditation process, how is that a concern when you've given them the permission to start, but they have to reapply to be reaccredited and they have not been able to do that? How is that a major problem?
It's a major problem, just as I believe probably you have a passport. You're given a passport for a certain period. You use the passport within that period, and when the passport is expired, you go for renewal, just as a driver's license, or even the license that Joy News is using to operate. You go for renewal because we want to be sure that the infrastructure that you brought in for you to be given accreditation is existent. There are instances that you come in with a number of lecturers, a number of facilities, you run for a period, 3-5 years, we come back and you don't have anything to show for it. So reaccreditation is a necessity when it comes to quality delivery and quality assurance. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think the managers of the institutions are in any way more or less arguing about the need for it. But the issue here is that historically, institutions have not been adhering to the tenets of accreditation. And as I told you, the environment was one that was structured in a manner that whether you are accredited or not, you are not punished for that. But the law is very clear that unaccredited programs come with punitive actions to the extent that managers can be sent to prison. So we would have to crack the whip. And the consequences of non-accreditation within this space currently is that foreign institutions are looking or checking for the accreditation status of programs that are being run, to the extent that, as one of the parliamentarians did indicate, we have instances where people have been denied scholarships or people have been denied admissions because their checks point to the fact that these programs are not accredited. So the onus lies on the managers of the institutions to take accreditation seriously. And as I said, GTEC is going to name and shame. We expect that the general public also adhere to our more or less caution. And if you remember, not too long ago, we had an engagement with the media, and we did indicate that in instances where the media facilitates the promotion and propagation of programs that are not accredited, they themselves were for culpable to the law. So it's a collective responsibility, but the onus lies on the managers of the institutions to make sure that the right thing is done.
Is it criminal for an institution to run an unaccredited program?
Article 10.2.3 of the Education Regulatory Act is very clear that anybody who runs, advertise, or calls to be run an unaccredited program faces the chance of being in prison for 15 to 20 years.
So if that's the case, why aren't managers of these universities who have been found out to be running unaccredited programs facing criminal charges then?
Our aim as a commission is not necessarily to punish. As I did indicate, this whole accreditation culture is one that is evolving, and we are not too quick to apply the law. Our interest, as I've been saying, is that we want there to be quality when it comes to delivery of tertiary education programs, and we don't want students to be shortchanged. It will get to a time that people will have to be punished, but let's get into this dialogue. Let's get a buy-in of the managers. Let them understand and appreciate the importance of accreditation and the consequences that follows without adhering to it. I think that is the first step that we want to establish. The issue of putting people in jail is not what we are. I mean, people have to buy into the whole idea of the need for accreditation. We don't want to be policing people. We want people to understand and appreciate the fact that, look, if you are not accredited, the quality of your program is not assured. That is exactly what we are doing. So I think it's a gradual process.
But Prof, how long has that particular law been in existence?
Oh, it was passed in 2020. The law was passed in August 2020. GTEC came into being proper in 2021. So we used 2021, 2022 to do more or less a conscientization of the general public. And as I did indicate, look, UJ, UCC, KNUST, the managers of these institutions have been very, very forthcoming and cooperative when it comes to what we've been doing relative to accreditation. But we still have a lot to be done. And I think this idea needs to think. You cannot publish a program on the premise that I have applied for accreditation. If you apply for a job or you apply for admission into a school, there's no guarantee that you are going to be admitted. So if you have applied for accreditation and the process is ongoing, you have no right to what? To more or less advertise or recruit students. And I must say that all those programs that are not accredited for which they are being run, and we have students who are enrolled, I think the schools have to take responsibility for their accreditation in terms of verification by whoever needs those certificates. Last year, we assured students that GTEC is the body that has the power and mandate to give accreditation, and by virtue of the uniqueness of the environment as at that time, we're going to take measures to give retrospective accreditation.
Okay.
But that was done in a manner of more or less on good faith, because we were in a certain environment. But if institutions continue to flout the law, institutions continue to do what is wrong, I don't think we are going to bail them out. I think they will have to take responsibility for that.
Yeah, so if we are not interested in making sure that we press criminal charges against...
I didn't say we are not interested. That
Okay.
wasn't what I said.
Okay.
In terms of the enforcement of the law, there are law agencies within the framework of our legal architecture that prosecutes and ensure that the law is adhered to. Of
Okay.
course, we will have to initiate it. Our point is that our interest is for the managers and the stakeholders within the tertiary environment to understand and appreciate and properly situate accreditation within the context of this whole exercise.
Okay.
And one of those has to be the managers of these institutions.
But
that is the point that I'm trying to make.
GTEC also sat and watched on for these universities to run these unaccredited programs for all this long before the Auditor General came out. Why did that happen when you were supposed to ensure that things were done in the right way?
So I think probably you did not get the historical perspective that I put relative to this whole discourse. That being, you asked me when has GTEC been in existence, and
You mentioned, yeah.
GTEC came into being in 2020 on paper. In reality, in fact, as we speak, GTEC is still in transition. And the culture of accreditation prior to the coming into being of GTEC could best be described as non-existent. I mean, universities were not more or less subjecting themselves to any regulatory oversight.
But Prof, I am aware that before 2020, there was a commission. Is it a National Tertiary Education Commission?
National National Accreditation Board.
Which was overseeing some of these things. And we had a tertiary commission as well, which was ensuring or regulating the tertiary institutions. So how did this elude us when we had these institutions which were supposed to have done this job?
Yes, so your question in itself is a response to why we are where we are, because National Accreditation Board, as well as the National Council for Tertiary Education, did not have the powers that are vested in GTEC today in terms of even sanctioning heads of institutions who do not adhere to the accreditation the accreditation requirements. That was what brought up into being GTEC. So NAB by then had the power of accreditation, but it did not have any form of enforcement what did they call it? So that is why we are where we are. And as you said, why is GTEC not punishing these institutions? And my response is that we have had a problem that has festered for all this while. You cannot come and start jailing people or putting people in cells when in actual fact the attitude towards accreditation has been non-existent. So let's work very hard to get the buy-in, let them understand the consequences of non-accreditation. In fact, as I did indicate, we won't be publishing in the newspapers programs and centers that are not accredited. I'm tempted to believe, Samuel, that if you see in the publication that BSc Economics at School A is unaccredited, you will not venture to go and apply for that.
Exactly,
program.
yes.
So it's a step-by-step process.
Okay, all right, Prof.
We are working very hard to get there, but I must say the managers of the institutions have the ultimate responsibility of making sure that the right thing is done.
Okay, Prof. I'm so grateful to you for joining us here. Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Janapo is Deputy Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission.